there, Film Juicers, and welcome to the epic finale of Film Juice, the one and only movie news-related show at Mohawk College, or at least we think so. My name is Julie Hoffman, and joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Mickey Kokanovic.
Hello there, Julie, and everyone who's into movie news, movie talk, Oscar talk, whatever the case may be, this is the place to get your film juice on. And since today is our last show, we're trying to go out with a bang, so let's get started.
As you all know, just a few months ago, Fast and Furious star Paul Walker tragically passed away in a fatal car crash. It was one of the most saddest moments this year in the entertainment industry and earned it, considering he was on the side of acting a very charitable man who was on his way to one of his very own charity events. But as some may say, the show must go on, and so it has because Universal Studios has recently announced that they'll be using CGI, stunt doubles, and voice effects to complete the scenes Paul Walker didn't get to do. The film is recommends shooting in Abu Dhabi next month, more than 4 months after his passing.
Yeah, this was definitely a really confusing time for Universal because I heard so many rumors guessing at what they would do, like using existing footage to complete the film, changing the script such as killing him off, or just retiring him. So I was really pleased when I heard that they were going to complete the project rather than scrapping it and starting a new one, which would have been so stupid and exactly the opposite of what Paul Walker would have wanted. Blending existing footage with CGI and multiple effects is definitely the way to go, especially when considering the day and age we live in. And honestly, this is kind of a new step in CGI effects, considering nobody's ever even taken basically pictures from a person and turned it into a fully live action character. So it would be pretty tricky not to take the CGI and stand out so much handling this. Nonetheless, okay.
Like the last part, you're just like,
Yeah.
So we start off at end, okay?
Okay.
End's right in the middle, and honestly.
Wait, where?
and honestly.
Okay. The last sentence. Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
And honestly, this is kind of a new step in CGI effects, considering nobody's ever. I know. I'm sorry. I just stumbled on words.
Actually, you can say basically taken, honestly.
Okay.
No,
Three.
it's basically taken, or you can say taken, basically.
3, 2, 1.
And honestly, this is kind of a new step in CGI effects, considering nobody's ever taken basically pictures from a person and turned it into a fully live action character. So it will be pretty tricky not to take the CGI standout so much when handling this. Nonetheless, let's move on to our next topic.
In other movie news, it was announced that David Fincher, the director of Fight Club, The Social Network, and Curious Case of Benjamin Button, was eyeing Christian Bale as lead role in his upcoming yet untitled biopic of Steve Jobs. Bale has been the prime candidate from the start because of his undenying resemblances to Apple founder Steve Jobs, and while playing Steve Jobs may be a step down from the Batman, it's currently not an easy acting performance, so he will still have to be on top of his game, which he should, being after getting nominated for Best Actor in American Hustle at the Academy Awards, but he still has not been approached yet, even though he and David Fincher have been working on the Moses film called Exodus, which is supposed to have Bale in the conversation for an Oscar once again. What do you think about this, Mickey?
Christian Bale, David Fincher, the producer from Captain Phillips, The Social Network, and No Country for Old Men, and is written by Aaron Sorkin. This has Oscar written all over it, or either bomb, because it wasn't long ago that we had a pretty bad movie called Jobs starring Ashton Kutcher, if you ask me. And I don't know if the audience that the film was targeting will be interested in another biopic of Steve Jobs. But on the other hand, there are actually some of the very high regarded Oscar names attached to this project, so it's already looking in a way better shape than the previous telling of his life. Now let's move on to another cool story buzzing around the social atmosphere this week or so. It's Cheech and Chong's return to the big screen, which may not be as clouded in smoke as you may think. The cult stoner comedy duo rose up to fame in the 70s and 80s after releasing comedic pop records that led to an onslaught of cannabis-related films. However, Still Smoking, which was released in 1983, is considered to be Cheech and Chong's last proper film because their next film after that departed from the stoner genre and was critically panned by critics. And to this day, their most successful and my favorite film was called Up in Smoke. This film grossed upwards of $44 million at the box office and is considered to be their greatest film. Like, how is half-pound joint being smoked down on a highway not hilarious? And when Chong tells Cheech that some of the stuff in there is Labrador. What's Labrador, man? My dog ate my stash, so I followed him around for a week until I got it back.
Wow, I have not seen that scene yet, but who hasn't heard of Cheech and Chong at one point in their life? And sure, their films may not have been certain people's choice of film, particularly in the 70s and 80s, but it's no question that their ballsiness to make such an inappropriate film at the time opened the doors to other forms of comedic subjects we found too risque. People hadn't really seen a movie yet primarily focused on the happy hippie drug life yet, and since that lifestyle was sort of off at its peak back then, their films became instant cult classics that have been praised as some of the funniest comedy films of all time. And if you want to know what Duo had to say about the possibly returning to the big screen, Chong said in an interview, "We had some preliminary meetings. It looks really good. It looks really funny. It's about us going to a festival called The Burning Joint. All sorts of shenanigans happen. It's going to be a lot of fun. We could begin production as soon as the summer." What do you think of these comments, Mickey?
These comments are only reassuring me this is going to go over well. So I'm not all that worried because Cheech and Chong always have a plan, no matter where it leads them. So they're kind of like the Harold and Kumar of the 70s and 80s. Anyways, let's get on to our last story of the day. Just a few months ago, Warner Brothers announced that they're interested in a new Jungle Book film with Ron Howard at the helm. But new reports are suggesting that the director they have in mind is none other than the Andy Serkis. For those of you wondering who he has given us one of the most memorable performances we didn't even realize. He was a motion capture actor for Gollum, King Kong, and Caesar from Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The story would tell the story of an orphan boy who was raised by wolves and becomes friends with a bear and a black panther. And this will also be Serkis' directorial debut. But he will have to work quickly because over at the Disney camp, Jon Favreau is directing a live-action version of the film that's already casted Idris Elba. So Warner Brothers has a work cut out for them because there is no challenging Idris Elba. How excited are you for the two Jungle Books film?
Usually I'm super excited for any kids movie, but I've seen countless retellings of this story through films, books, and TV, so I'm not really pumped for The Jungle Book. And to add, there is countless of other animated feature or Disney stories that could have been remade, so I'm skeptical to say the least.
Firstly, has anyone ever heard of Guardians of the Galaxy? Great, neither had I until I saw Marvel announce the Guardians film for 2014, nearly 2 years ago. For those of you who didn't know who they are, let me catch you up. The Guardians of the Galaxy are a 31st century group of misfits that include a talking raccoon, a living being who looks like a tree, Thanos' daughter, and a Hulk-like warrior, and a human leader. Let's see what this is all about and if it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, hey, cool, man. No problem. No problem at all.
Who are you?
Star-Lord.
Who?
Well, Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw. Forget it.
We arrested these five on Xandar. Check out the rap sheets. Drax, aka the Destroyer. Since his wife and family were killed, he's been on a rampage across the galaxy in a search for vengeance. Gamora, soldier, assassin, wanted on over a dozen counts of murder. Rocket, wanted on over 50 charges of vehicular theft and escape from lockup.
What the hell?
Groot has been traveling recently as Rocket's personal houseplant / muscle. Peter Jason Quill. He's also known as Star-Lord.
Who calls him that?
Himself, mostly. He's wanted largely on charges of minor assault, public intoxication, and fraud.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked. Hey, that's mine. You son of a... Hey, take those headphones off right now!
They call themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy.
What a bunch of a-holes.
Hooked on a feeling. I'm high on belief.
Geez, that song is way too catchy, and using music from the 60s in a movie trailer, just pure awesomeness. Anyway, the film looks like it's trying to hit the comedic vibe right on the mark, which Marvel usually does anyway. But not to this extent, normally because it has Chris Pratt from the Parks and Rec and Bradley Cooper voicing a raccoon, so it's bound to be a hoot and a half. Overall, I'm really excited to see this space adventure. How about you?
Come on, is that even a question for this guy right here, right now, in this dimension? Of course I'm stoked for this James Gunn homage to all the use of the glorious and the campy days of the comic book space drama filmmaking. But still, blending it properly with styles and tones of films we're more used to these days. It will be a challenge, but nothing Marvel can't handle at this point in time. This movie also includes Dave Bautista, a wrestler from the WWE, who looks the part, but I'm not 100% convinced he could pull it off. However, after seeing Dwayne Johnson's seamless transition from wrestling to acting, anything is possible. It also includes Zoe Saldana, who handles her fair share of acting roles extremely well, so she is always a safe bet when it comes to finding a lead female role.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome at playing blue aliens, green aliens, and Star Trek's ones as well. But seriously, you're right, she brings it every time. Now on to our next segment called Coming Soon. We will run down the movies coming out in the next few weeks and exclusively chat about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which is coming to theaters near you July 11th.
What's up, film juicers? So Dawn of the Planet of the Apes has wild monkeys running around and attempting to overtake the remaining humans. So how are monkeys so freaking smart? Caesar is not as cute as before. And where is James Franco? I can only speculate to have him being killed by humans. The first one was entertaining. Franco and Caesar were a great duo. So we have Gary Oldman in this new installment. Caesar is definitely not cute anymore, and he has a vengeance on us humans. So watch out. Whether I believe the monkeys can actually continue with the uprising and create a new civilization, smarter than the one we currently live in, that is another question. I cannot wait for this one being released July 11th, a must-see this summer. Until next time, Film Juicers, I'm your host, Greg Davies.
Seriously, Greg, monkeys could easily rule the world as long as they aren't throwing their feces at each other and leaving banana peels everywhere. But honestly, Caesar looks very angry in the trailer, so the remaining humans better be on the lookout for those genetically enhanced monkeys.
Yeah, everything is looking good from what we got so far from the teaser. So I feel like the anticipation from this movie is building up, and when the full trailer is released, we will see a better glimpse into what's going on behind the scenes.
And as you can tell, there are so many great films out now that came out or are coming up, so make sure to keep your eye on us to get your full glass of film juice. I'd like to thank everyone involved in this production, all of our teachers who gave us this chance and the opportunity to do this, and especially my co-host. I'm Julie Hoffman.
And I'm Makiko Kanovic, and from everyone here at Mohawk, goodbye, and don't forget to get your film juice on.
Yeah, you turned me